Okay guys, so welcome to another exciting video from Pycoders Academy Python focus videos. So in our previous video we were looking at some projects under the advanced Python programming courses, where we did a simple game which is a guessing game to guess missing letters in a random words. Okay, so today we will be looking at regular expressions. So this is an advanced course, so we will be starting with the regular expressions. Then we I think this is the part 1 of the regular expression. So in our next video we will look at the part 2 of the regular expression. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so moving on, we will look at the explanation of regular expression, what regular expressions are, and how they are important, and we will look at some features we'll be treating in this video also. Okay, so regular expressions are just a combination of characters, so it can be any character that are interpreted as rules for matching substrings. So let's say I have a string called, let's say, hello world. Then I want to match some characters inside this hello world. So I just use let's say a character like W, then I'll match it in this hello world string. So simple. So you get to understand this like in more details when we start with the features. Okay, so as I said, regular expressions are combinations of characters that are interpreted as rules for matching substrings. Okay, so that's the explanation. So we will look at these features. So let me see. So features, we start with the RE model, move on to the regular expression patterns, regular expressions patterns. We look at the regular expressions. Okay, so match, look at search, we look at find all and sub. Okay, then we add flags also. Then we look at match, so the difference between the match and the search. Next will be some examples. Then we look at character classes. Move on to special character classes. Okay, then we will be ending with the repetition classes. Okay, so repetition. Okay, repetition class. So these are the like fundamental features or topics inside the regular expression we will be treating. So first we will be treating these topics in this video, then the next 3 will be in the next video. Okay, so we will start with these 5 topics. Yes, 5 topics. Then in the next video we will treat the 3 topics following it. Okay, so let's start with the first feature, which is the RE model. Okay, so we have treated models in this Python course. We said models are just scripts like containing Python codes. Yeah, so that's what we mean. And we know like those models can be imported to your code. So something like an external script sitting somewhere, and you are using the codes inside that script in your code. So that's what we will be doing here. So the RE model is a built-in model by like which comes with Python. So it encompasses all what we'll be doing in this video and the next video also. So before you can use any script inside that model, we need to import it as we did in the models section video. Okay, so let's start with importing the RE model. So it's imported by using the RE. Okay, so simple. So import RE, so simple. So now that's the model name, which is RE. Then we need to look at how the content of the RE model. So the RE model contains some sub methods, so which are the match, search, find all, sub, yeah, and so on. But we'll be treating only 4 in this video. So you can find more out on the Python uh, documentation website. So I'll be putting the link inside the description so you can check it out. Okay, so we'll be looking at these for now. Then we'll be looking at those those examples using these methods from the RE model. Okay, so that is the RE model. So next we will be looking at the regular expressions patterns. So what is it? So we will just look at it just in a while. So the regular expressions patterns, so they are just characters or like something like patterns. So let's look at something. So here, let's say we have a string which is defined by something like hello, my name is 123 or 123. Okay, so this is a simple string we have defined here, and we are saying hello, my name is 123 here. So let's say I'm looking for a specific word inside that string. Let's say name is a word inside that string. So I will use a pattern to get that name. So let's say I'll use a pattern which says collect all words, or collect all letters, or collect all small cases inside that string. So that condition, or that expressions or characters we use are the patterns we are saying. Okay, so the patterns are as follows. So we have we have a lot of them, but I'll be treating the fundamental ones here. So we have this, so we will be explaining it in a bit. So W, then you have something called D, you have small case d, all starting with a backslash, or yeah, a forward slash, sorry. Then we have Z, you have A, okay, you have A, then we have, okay, so we have yeah, then we have small letter S, then another one is capital S. Okay, so we'll be treating these patterns like for the fundamental ones. So these are the fundamental patterns we will be treating in this video. So you can find more out. So you can find something like G and so on. So just find it out in the Python documentation website. So we'll be looking at these patterns here. So what does these patterns mean? So the first one is the forward slash W. So that's the small case W. So this small case W says go into the string, look for any letter. So look for any letter. So once it's a letter, just look for it. That's what we are saying. So the first one says go into the string, look for any letter. Okay, now the W says go inside the string, look for any character other than a letter. Okay, so the W is for let's say letters. So let's say the W is for letters. So okay, and the D, so the capital D is also for non-digits, so non-letters digits. So okay, the one which starts with the capital D is the non of that which we say character. Okay, then the small one is then digits. Digits. Okay, now we can have z. Z is just let's say the ending. He said so. The z says go inside a string, match the following word like after the z, like which is ending. So let's say I have a string here, then I have name is 123. So if I'm saying match something like z name, like this, we are saying match this num here with the ending of this string. So it will goes into the ending of this string and match the ending by looking for this. So it's matching the name person near the z at the ending. Okay, so the z is for ending. So we will look at that. So ending, then the a is for starting. So in the same analogy as we did for the z. Okay, so starting. Okay, now we move on to s. So S is for white spaces, which is the new line character, which is the /n, and we can have /t, and so on. We will look at that also. Then we have capital S, so non-white space, so non-white space. Okay. So that's what we will be looking at, like these patterns. So these are the fundamental patterns we'll be looking at in this video. Then in the next video we will look at how to use some special characters or some character classes which are also among these, but there are a lot of these patterns out there, so you can check it out. Okay, so we are done with the regular expression patterns. So these are the examples of the patterns we have here, and these are the explanations. So the W is for letters, caps the cap W is the non-letters, and so on and so forth. So in the next section we will be looking at the match, search, find, or sub, and flag. So we will be applying these regular expression patterns in these methods. Okay, so moving on to the next section, we will look at the match method, the search method, the find all method, and the sub method, and we will also look at the flags. Okay, so these are the methods inside the RE model. So that's what we will be focusing on. So just four of these, because we are doing the fundamental one. If you say we are doing the we can't do all in this video, it will take much time. So I'll give you a description, a link in the description to look out for the rest. Okay, so starting with the match. So the match is used to match a specific character or a specific word to, like, inside a string. So let's say I have a main string and I want to match let's say the name or a specific name inside that string, then I just use the match method. So if you know in Python, you when you go to uh, edit, then you go to find, is the same way. So when you are finding something, you are like getting a match. So that's the analogy behind the match method. Okay, so the match method, to use the match method is so simple. First, we just create a variable. So let's say a variable called match is equal to, then you say, so the match method is inside the RE model. So we just do RE match. Okay, so after import, after writing this re.match, then you bring your parent. Okay, so match methods collect three parameters. The first one is the pattern. So the pattern you want to look through the string for. Then two, the string. Then three, the flags. Okay, so we will look at these the first two first, then we will at the end of this section we look at the flags and you know how to use those flags. Okay, so re dot match, then let's say the pattern. So the patterns we defined here, we defined let me use the okay, so let me use the capital D here. Okay, so using the capital D as the pattern type, so these are the patterns we'll be using, which are the W bar. We will be using this one for a start, so the big D, so capital D here. So re dot match is the method. Then it contains three parameters, as I said. So we have the pattern, the string, and the flags. But the flags will be treated later on. Okay, so here should be so it's backslash capital D here. Okay, so that's it. Then the string is string. Okay, so simple. Now what I've done is we are saying go inside the string, then match all the backslash D here. So when we check here, we are saying non-digit. So the characters which are non-digit will be what will be like matched. So let's try. So print. So this match. So let me just print out the type of data type, the data type of this match variable. So type, then you say match. Okay, now let's run this code and see. So we are just checking the data type. So okay, so re dot match. Okay, so it's just match models. So we just do print match and see. So okay, so this one. So if match, so actually what this does is just matches it. So if it matches it, you have to create a conditional statement to do something to get a confirmation if we get a match. So if match, then you just let's say print matched. Okay, now else just do print unmatched. Okay, let's run this code and see. Okay, so we are getting matched. Why? Because we in this string we have there's a non-digit in the string. So let's let me remove this and see if we will get matched. Okay, so you can see unmatched there. So when you use the capital D, then you are saying match, or when you use the capital D with re dot match, we are saying match all the non-digit inside the string. Okay, so that's what we are saying here. Now we can move to the next one, which is the search. So the search also looks for the non-digit inside the string. So here instead of match we are saying search. Okay, now we just the same parameters here. So we just do, so first actually let me print the match out and see. So match. Okay, so let's run this code and see. Okay, so none and unmatched. Okay, so let me try. So why are we getting none here? Is because there is no non-digit inside our string here. So let me put this is 1 2 3. Now let's run this code and see. Okay, so we have a match here. So it collects the first character, which is T. So this the first character, which is T. Now they are saying match because our search was successful, because we found non-digit inside that string. So we have the search and we have the match. Okay, so we will treat the difference later on in this video. Okay, so we know how to check if, or we know how to search, we know how to match, and we know how to search. Now we move on to find all. So the find all collect all the matches inside a list. So here let's look at this. So let's change this search to find all. Okay, now let's run this code and see. Okay, so you can see we are getting the non-digit here, so THIS. Okay, so this find or collect all non-digit, so including the white spaces inside, which is this white space here, there's white space here, so that is what we are talking about. So when you use the find all, we are just saying collect all the patterns, all that matches the patterns, then put it in a list and we just print it out to get our result. So now let's change this pattern to something like a white space. So here white space is just S, so just do S. So now let's run this code and see. Okay, so you can see we are getting two white spaces here. We can also check for the digits, so small d. Now you can see, okay, so we are getting the digits here, 1 2 3. So that's how you can use a find or re.find, or which is the method in the re model to check or to find all the find all characters that matches a specific pattern. Okay, now we move on to sub. So the sub is just to replace. So we want to replace a string in, we want to replace a character inside a string. So the sub model or sub method takes 4 parameters. So we have the old, let's say the old character you want to replace, the new character you want to replace with, and the string. Okay, so let's look at this. So let's say I want to replace the old character you want to replace is S. So I want to replace S by what? So I want to replace S by, let's say, something like okay, R shouldn't come. So S by B. Okay, so B. Okay, now we pass the string. Now here should be sub. Okay, so we are done. Now let's run this code and see. Okay, so you can see the S has been changed to B. So this is how to replace so we are replacing a specific character inside our string using the sub method from the RE model. Okay, so we have treated the match, the search, the find all, and the sub methods. Now we move on to the flags. Okay, so flags. Okay, so the flags is actually used to pass a condition inside the method in let's say the RE model. Okay, so let's look at the find all method and use it to explain the flags. So find all. We have 4 types of flags. So we have flags. We have the RE dot ignore case. Then we have re dot debug re dot unicode, then re dot ascii. Okay, now what we will be doing here is that we just use a flag. So we know find all contain 3 parameters: the pattern, the string, and the flag. So we just have to remove this one from here. Okay, now we have this. So let's say we are checking so we will start with the ignore case. So the ignore case just ignore the case of what you are searching, or the pattern of the character you are searching. So let's say we want to search for the this here inside the string. So let's this. Okay, so this is just the uppercase of this here. So this is the lowercase and this is the uppercase. So let's say we want to ignore this case in this string, so we just pass a flags here. So the flags can be passed as a keyword argument or as a normal argument. So I'll just do the normal argument is re dot then ignore case. Okay, so we write re. So since it's a something like a method inside the re model, we just do re dot ignore case. Now let's run this code and see. Okay, so even though I pass a capital this here, capital case this here, it's still matching the lowercase this, because we said ignore the case. That's what we are saying. Okay, so when you use the ignore, we are just ignoring the case of what the pattern we are searching through. Okay, now we cannot move. Can also have the debug. So debug is just going through your code step by step. So it's just debugging your code. So we can just do re debug. Okay, now let's run this code and see. Okay, so let me look at this. So debug is just going through it. So from here it's saying t, so it will just pick the first t and look through this string for it. So then it will go to h and look through the string for it, go to I, look through the string for it. Then after going through all the uh, after picking each character and going to the string, it just return success. So that's the debug flag here. Now we move on to the Unicode. So Unicode is just let's say the code, let's say the code we use. So let's say Unicode. Let's run this code and see. Okay, so there is no let's say special code. I don't know how to explain it, but there's no special code. Like for Python 3, we are using UTF minus 8. So we are using the Unicode normal, which is the UTF minus 8. But there is no other Unicode except UTF minus 8. So it is empty. Okay. So we will go to ASCII. ASCII is also special characters. There is no special characters here, so we will just ignore. It won't print any thing here. Empty list. Okay, so as I said, empty list because there is no special characters here. So that's the flags we are talking about. So it's just a condition checker. So when you want to pass something like ignore the case, you just do the flags here. So there are more out there. There are more at the Python official website. So I'll put the link inside the description for you to check it out. Okay, so that's all for the flags. Move on to the next section. Okay, so welcome to this section. So we are done with the RE model, regular expression patterns, the match search, find all, sub methods, and we moved on to the flag parameter. Okay, so moving on, we look at the match and the search, the difference between the match and the search method. Okay, so first let's look at the match method. So we have already looked at the match method, but here we will look at the example. So let's say I have a string here, which is this is 1 2 3 as the string. Now we want to pass this pattern as what we want to look through our string for. Okay, now let's change this to match and let's ignore case as a flask. Okay, now let's run this code and see. Okay, so successfully we got matched and we got this. Okay, so this actually gives us a positive answer. So now let's say we want to put this or yeah, we want to put this here instead of the beginning or the starting position. We just put it here. So let's say it's 1 2 3 this. Okay, so this is at the ending position. Now let's run this code and see. Okay, here we got a negative answer. Why? Because for match method, it just searches for the specific pattern at the beginning of the string. So even though at the beginning of the string, when we did the case where this was at the beginning, we got a positive answer. this didn't give us a positive answer, but rather gave us a negative answer. This is what the reason why is that the match actually searches or actually matches the particular pattern at the beginning of the string instead of the entire code of the string, but it just searches for the specific part at the beginning of the string. Okay, so now that's the match method. Let's look at the search method. So the search methods actually look for the particular pattern throughout the string. So let's look at it in action. Okay, so now let's run code and see. Okay, so even though in match we got a negative answer, here we are getting a positive answer which is matched. So even whether the this is, so let's try the this inside, like let's try the this at the starting position here. Okay, so okay, oh sorry. Okay, so for the this to be at the, so we have tried in a case where the this was at the ending of the string. Now we are trying at the beginning of the string. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we got a positive answer again. So actually the search has two positives and the match has only one positive. So what differentiates between them is that the match actually search for the particular pattern at the beginning of the string, while the search looks for the particular pattern throughout the string. So that's the basic difference between the match and the search method. Okay, so this is the last section of this video where we will be practicing some examples concerning what we have done in this video. Okay, so what we did in this video was we learned about the RE model, the regular expressions or the regular expression patterns. Then we moved on to the methods, the various key methods inside the RE model, and we learned about the optional flag parameter. Then we also moved on to look at the difference between the match and the search parameters, the match and the search methods inside the RE model. Okay, so now what we'll be doing is just an example. So an example we'll be looking at is that, let's say we just check for, let's say our if a Gmail an email is valid or not using the regular expressions here. Okay, so to check if an email is valid or not, we need to look at how the structure of email is like. Okay, so now let's look at a simple email here. So a simple email is faisal say 6@gmail.com. Okay, so this is a simple email we have here. Now we need to check if this is valid or not, and we know that a Gmail has three parts. The first part is the username, the second part is the @sign, and the third part is the host name. Okay, so the username is what is before the @sign, and we know the @sign is there. Then the gmail.com is the host name. Okay, now let's look at how to validate it. Okay, so first we need to check if the is present. So how will we do it? We can use the search method in the RE models. Okay, so we just do @sign will be equal to, let's say, re dot search. We can't use the match here since the is not at the beginning of the string, so we use the search. Then we say @ so @sign, then I'll say string. Okay, then I'll say ignore case, even though it's not okay. So I'll say ignore case here as the flags. So ignore case. Okay, now let's see if at is present inside our string. So if at sign prints, so let's just print valid for now. So valid, else print invalid. Okay, invalid. Okay, now let's run this code and see. Okay, so we are getting valid here. Why? Because it has successfully searched through the email, then got us a valid message. Okay, so that's what the search method is for. So we just took the @sign as our pattern, and we look through the string variable for the @sign. Then we just ignore any case sensitivity, then we got the valid message. So let's say here there was no @sign here. I'll just run this code and see invalid here. So that's what the email validator is for. Okay, so this is a basic validator for your email. Okay, so we can also check for validity for Gmail account here. So let's try it and see. So okay, so let me try another one. So for host, you can say re.search, then I will say gmail.com. Okay, so .com. Okay, so .com. Now we pass the string here. Okay, now let's look and see. Okay, so let me pass something like if @sign. So if there is an @sign and the host and there is a gmail.com inside the email, then print valid. Okay, so we are getting valid. So let me just remove this and see. Okay, invalid. Okay, so let's say I have @here, then let's change this to Yahoo. Let's run this code and see. Okay, invalid. So this is how to check for the validity of your let's say your email. Yeah, so actually regular expression is actually fun because we are saying go inside the string and check for a particular let's say a particular pattern inside that string. Okay, so this is basically how to use regular expressions. And so this we did only an example for the search method. So for further explanation, we will look at the find all examples in the next video. So we will be using these methods interchangeably. So that's the match method, the find all method, the sub method, and the search method. And we will actually do a project on this after this regular expression videos. Okay, so this is the first part of regular expression. We move on to the second part of regular expression. So just stay tuned and like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share it with your friends. Thank you. Big house fellas.